Hello, my friends. Today I have released another episode of the Church Time Podcast. This episode consists of an interview that I sat for about 6 months ago. Actually, tomorrow will be 6 months exactly. And what it is somebody had proposed a list of questions, a series of 30 different questions with no topic off the table to ask me that I would answer open and honest and in as much detail as I could. I was hesitant for a while as to if I was even gonna release this one or not, because it's somewhat personal, and some of the answers are very personal for me. But I think it is time. Overall, it could be beneficial. I don't really know exactly what it was. It was an experience. I had never been interviewed before. I had certainly never been interviewed at length, where I allowed someone to ask anything, no matter how personal or deeply emotional the answers might be, which you'll see some of that. There are a couple of times in there that the emotions kind of come through, which is only natural, and you'll see that for yourself if you watch it. But I guess my aim at releasing it now is to just give the watchers or viewers or listeners a more detailed personal look into my life or into my history and into my current mindset when it comes to a lot of things, in particular my parenting and who I am as an individual. There's a lot of the previous podcasts. Obviously, I'm a critic of the local public school system, but that's not all that I am. I've said many times that I don't have the college degrees or college courses that I can present to the public and say, hey, look, this is why I know what I know. And, this is why I'm presenting what I'm presenting in the way that I'm presenting it. My credentials come from life experience or my own personal studies that are relative to my life experiences. Very in-depth studies when it comes to my children, which is why I have a broader understanding of psychology and sociological behavior with people, and in particular my kids or kids in general. This interview serves as a first step in the direction of trying to share with you, the people, the public who watch this, what my credentials are. To a certain extent, you'll get a glimpse of what my credentials are and how I know certain things like mental disorders, trauma. It wasn't something that I sat for in a college lecture room. What I have learned has been in real time. And then taking that and what I continue to learn in my adult life, and then applying that to the current situations in which I find myself or which I find my children in. Because of that, a lot of the situations that I do speak on are directly related or could be directly related to a lot of what your children or you yourselves are afflicted by. So I would say the purpose of me releasing it now is first overcoming the obstacle that's in my way, which is exposing more of, not even exposing, just sharing, exposing myself by way of sharing more of who I am to you and more of my history to you to try to give you a better understanding of where I've come from. But it's also going to serve as a step for me to overcome this barrier. I don't know, you could call it insecurity if you want, but insecurity, uncertainty, fear, if you will. I'm just going to break that shit down. Take from it what you will. I lived it. And as I've already proven, your hate and your rhetoric and your negativity isn't really going to affect me. You're not going to say anything that I haven't said to myself a dozen times over, or somebody else has said to me probably even more. This is my opportunity to serve other people because I am well equipped to do so based on my past experiences. If you relate, okay. If not, okay. But just keep in mind that before we proceed with any sort of negativity about what's shared, that there are people who do relate or will relate to what I have presented to you, and your negativity or your negative remarks could directly impact those people. even if you're trying to impact me, it's not going to work. But you could have a negative effect on somebody else based on your comments. So just be mindful before you proceed with your words that there are many, many people that are struggling in this community, in this state, in this country, with their own personal issues and obstacles, their own psychological states, their own insecurities, their own fears of being judged or looked down upon because they have issues that maybe somebody sitting next to them doesn't have and can't relate to because they've never experienced it. I am going to continue to try to help by any means necessary. And if that means that I need to share some truths, then that's what's going to happen. My past is my past. My history is my history. My growth is my growth. And my success is my success. Not to be determined by anybody watching this. It's mine. I earned it. I worked for it. I have overcome. And because I have overcome, I am walking, talking, living, breathing proof that other people who are struggling can do the same. They just need you, maybe, if you're watching this, if you're one of those people, you just need to find the strength within yourself. So if I can be that beacon of hope that gives you that strength so you can overcome the obstacles that are in your way, so that you can break through the barriers that are holding you back or keeping you restricted in your own mind, then that's what I'm going to do. And that's the purpose of this podcast that I'm sharing or have shared today. Jordan Peterson says it very well. Sometimes the only way out is through. And that's true. That is the truth. And sometimes through is not a pleasant experience. This is not a tell-all of my life story. This is not me sharing my life story as a whole, in its entirety. These are just glimpses of it based on a handful of questions that was asked of me about 6 months ago. So don't pass judgment on what's being shared or who is attached to the information that's being shared. Because especially when you talk about my child, or when I talk about my childhood, that was 25, 30 years ago. I mean, that part of my life has already been lived through, experienced, and it wasn't all what is presented in the interview. Like, sure, there were negative aspects that you're going to learn if you choose to watch. Yes. There were things that are not pretty. Yes. There was a lot of pain and suffering. Yes. But there was also a significant amount of positivity as well. And I'll get to more details about my life and my life story as a whole in the weeks and months moving forward as I continue to put things together and present them to the world. But that doesn't mean that the negative didn't happen. That doesn't mean that the things that were discussed during the interview aren't real, very real, and experienced by me. There's no anger. There's no animosity. There's no more pain from that. Now, you might see emotions that get triggered because of the memories that resurface through talking about these topics, but there's no more pain for me in that area. I wouldn't be who I am, where I am, if it wasn't for that and for the people that were involved in all of my life, not just the bits and pieces that you're going to hear from the interview. However, it's very real and it's relatable to a lot of people. And if I was so hesitant to share these stories and to talk about these very personal things and experiences throughout my life, then I know there are a lot of people who are hesitant to share, discuss, and disclose with others. And maybe you'll never even be at that point to where you're comfortable sharing or where you will share. But hopefully watching the interview and will give you a different perspective from somebody else's point of view that it's okay that shit has happened, both to you or around you. And if you played a role in somebody else's negative experiences, I'm not going to say that it's okay because it's not my place to judge, but it can be okay. You can overcome all of this pain and this suffering that you feel internally. And I guess the interview or parts of the interview and what I put together to share, moving forward about my life, if I can be the example to even one of you that it's okay or it will be okay, and you can do it. If you can just hold on through the pain and keep fighting forward, it's going to be all right. You're going to come out on the other side. Going through oftentimes sucks, but sometimes that's the only way. And I had to accept the reality of my past, both positive and negative, both happy and sad, just like you have to. That's what growth is. The emotions are still there at times, but that's a part of my past. It's a part of my history. It's a part of your history if you shared those experiences with me. And to be honest with you, I'm very blessed. I am very blessed in so many aspects of my life, and grateful for every experience that I've had in my life. Because without those experiences, like I said, I wouldn't be here who I am today, doing what I'm doing today. And because of those experiences, I am very well suited to be where I am today, doing what I'm doing today. What is able to be forgiven by me is forgiven. It's that simple. For what I can forgive, I forgive. And I thank you for the opportunity, for the experiences that we have shared together. My hope is that it helps somebody, no matter what you're going through. Just hold on. Keep fighting. Pain is a powerful motivator and one of the best teachers you're ever going to have in life. You just have to get through it, because it's the only way. I'm walking, talking, living, breathing proof of that, my friends. Doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me, despite so many of you people saying that there are. That's the wonderful thing about perspectives, is that when you're zeroed in on yourself and doing what's right, outside perspectives don't affect you so much. That's another step in personal growth. If I can overcome what I have already overcome, I have full faith that each and every one of you can too. Whatever is in your way, you can get through it if you just hold on. So if you'd like to take the time to listen to or watch the interview, thank you. I appreciate it. Share it if you'd like. Reach as many people as you'd like. Because when we talk about helping those in need, or helping those who have experienced situations and circumstances in their life that have caused mental distress in one way or another, no matter how severe it is, you have to remember that each individual's personal experiences, their worst experiences, their worst moments in life are their own worst moments. It's not to be compared to other people's. Your experiences and your worsts are going to be different than somebody else's worsts. It doesn't mean that it's not the worst for them just because they haven't experienced something as bad as you. It's still the worst for them. And it's a difficult thing to process. It's a difficult thing to analyze, interpret, and accept. Judgment doesn't help. And more often than not, your judgment, anger, and animosity is just a projection of your own insecurities onto that person. So you can either work on yourself, embrace your own life, or just keep your comments to yourself. People need help. People want help. More of their fear comes from the possibility of their judgment of others than it does actually overcoming their past. Something to consider. I truly wish you the best. And if nobody else is in your corner, even if you don't even know me, even if we've never met, if this is the first you're ever seeing my face, I'm here to tell you, no matter what it is, if you just hold on, you can overcome. A new episode of the Church Time Podcast is now available. A 30-question interview. Go check it out.